Still basking in the television success of Twin Peaks, his delirious road movie Wild at Heart won the Palme d'Or at Cannes. But 2 years later, even Lynch fanatics were bewildered by his Peaks-inspired feature film, Fire Walk with Me. It flopped at the box office and a gleeful backlash began, sending this comic visionary into cinematic limbo. But now Lynch is back at work on Lost Highway, co-written by Wild at Heart's Barry Gifford and starring Patricia Arquette. Chris Rodley met Lynch on location and tried his best to discover what the new movie is all about.
You're sitting quietly, and something unfolds in your mind. And is that camera running? Really and truly, there's no one there, Chris.
It's running?
Yeah, okay.
Funny how secrets travel.
It's a dangerous thing to, to say what a picture is. I can't really talk about that. I can say it's, it's, I wouldn't be able to say it in a short, time.
Yeah, I think David would kill me if I tried to answer that for you. So I'm going to have to pass on that. I'm sorry.
It's about a man in trouble.
But it's a very particular kind of.
Yeah, the psychogenic fugue is the type of trouble.
It's really about a man who creates a situation, finds himself in a dire situation, and has a kind of a panic attack. And that he really has a very difficult time in dealing with the consequences of his action. And this action fractures him in a way.
Some things, strangely, are not so understandable. And but when things in films are not so understandable, people become worried. And yet they are, in some way, understandable.
I mean, he's written a synopsis that describes, that on one level it is, the simple story of a man who has murdered his wife for her infidelity. And on another, it's a, very complex representation and interesting representation of his interior struggles and the world he creates to deal with this heinous crime he's committed.
You're still a little bit in Never Never Land.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, okay, you were doing it. Yeah, okay.
It makes perfect sense to me. I didn't have any trouble with the script. It all made perfect sense to me. I don't really think that we talked ever about what the film means. It was very apparent to us from the beginning.
This picture is from my oral pathology book, not my book, but a book that I own, that someone else did, but, there are unfortunate things that happen, to people. And this story is sort of about that. And this picture depicts an unfortunate occurrence. And it kind of gives you a feeling of a man in trouble, a thinking man in trouble.
Ladies and gents, let's do a rehearsal. Background. This is a place where all of you come often. It's a friendly neighborhood place. You can drink on the dance floor. You can smoke. Everybody's friendly. So let's, give it a really lively feeling. Don't feel like you have to stay put. Okay? Here we go. Music.
I don't like pictures that are one genre only. So this is like a combination of things, and it has a kind of a horror film. It has a kind of a thriller. It has a kind of but basically it's a mystery. Is what it is. A mystery.
What's happening to you? You've been acting strange like the last time I saw you.
What time?
The other night.
What night is that?
You make your own decisions, you know, in your preparation or whatever. You decide for your character what's gone on. And then whatever David wants to tell us is great, and whatever he doesn't is also okay, because for yourself, at least for me, you know, I decided what happened that night, what was going on and everything. And I don't know, it's kind of like this great secret that we just don't talk about, and we all have our own sort of fantasies about what that secret is.
Yeah, but you'll be with Amanda pretty soon in the bar.
This movie, I have gone from the esoteric to the absurd in my trying to understand it. But I feel like I'm in good hands with him.
They do look beautiful.
Very well. Here we go. Ready, Peter?
That's quite beautiful, Gary. Really nice work.
In a way, it's like in your own mind, if you're capable of understanding something, then you're not capable of exploring outside terrain, something somebody else would understand. So if someone pushes you into that other territory you don't understand and you trust them, all different things are coming out of you that you don't even know exist.
Actors are strange because they seem to understand abstract things pretty easily, and they can buy into an abstraction without too much trouble.
I play in this movie two different interpretations of the same woman. I know it's strange. Yeah, a lot of wig work on this movie. My first concept was they were two different people. So I was thinking, look at them from an acting point of view, that I was going to make them very different, their vocal pattern, the way they moved, their laughs and all this. So that was sort of exciting to me. And then David said that, no, they're the same person. So then you have to cross over a reality border because it can't really be the same person and one of them die.
There are a couple of completely different feelings to the film. You know, the beginning of the story where we're with Fred and Renee Madison has a very particular and a very austere and kind of, you know, pressure cooker feeling to it. And very simple sets and very simple acting style. And then when we get into Pete's story and Alice's story and then Fred's unraveling story, it goes pretty wild and it looks completely different. And one in particular, just a classic kind of David shot, really beautiful. I don't know that I think this is a departure. I think maybe what it is a very interesting synthesis of different films that he's made, you know, so that he's sort of developing his art and his language. And I think with each film I've worked on with him, you know, his demands on the camera have become more and more sophisticated and more kind of dynamic, and every scene, the simplest scene he goes into, he really thinks hard about how he can make this scene interesting both visually and emotionally. Entering into a psychotic state with Fred is a new territory and one he's doing a pretty good job of.
It's a very serious movie, which is why, personally, I related in David's work more to Eraserhead. I think it's that kind of a moving portrait. An old friend of mine, Vinny DeSirio, once said that David takes the ordinary and makes it seem strange, or sees the strange in the ordinary, And he says, I'm really kind of the opposite. He said that you take the extraordinary, the strange, and you make that seem ordinary. So I suppose that might be where the balance is.
He understands a sort of a world that I like, and he likes as well. And characters, his characters that he writes about, I really like, and I like what they say, and I like a certain sensibility that he has about things.
I'd go the far end of the world for you, baby. You know I would.
Rockin' good news.
He's got a kind of a coolness, you know, to him, a kind of hipness.
Those toenails about dry yet, sweetheart? We got some dancing to do.
When he's preparing for a movie, he always listens to music, and it helps him enter the world, and it helps him create the world that he is creating. So he had picked out quite a bit of music before he even started shooting, and then he's continued to listen to music while he's been shooting, and, you know, where we've had music in scenes, he's known about it for a while in advance, and he really likes it to help to, you know, create the atmosphere for his sake and for the sake of the actors.
Okay, that's it. The quiet part, where this starts. Yeah, well, music gives you an indication of the mood again. And if you luck out and find things up front, they can help you tremendously.
Mark, lay back.
When it hits the quiet part of the music, we'll crank it up on action, okay? You're listening to the music sometimes through your headphones and listening to the dialogue mixed with that music, even though the actors may not be hearing it, and you can tell, you know, right away if the pace is right, the mood is right, the light is right, you know, everything. The music reinforces it, or you know, you start again. Now, we're talking about, because this, you know, psychogenic fugue has the word fugue, the idea of, and fugues at least make me feel insane. And so I like to experiment with, you know, the form of a fugue.
Sound is a great pleasure for him, and in fact, when we mix, he actually runs the music pots. He sits at the mixing board and runs the music.
It's been a long time since you made the Twin Peaks movie.
4 years, Chris.
4 years?
Yeah.
It's hard to shake Twin Peaks TV and the movie and how they were both accepted. There is some reassessment of it, but I think it will always somehow be tag-ended to the whole, you know, broad-based popularity of the television series and kind of a strange footnote to it. The reaction was very bad here. Did very poorly at the box office, and more than that, it was pretty viciously attacked in the reviews. Many people were hoping for an extension of the television series, which was, you know, David and Mark Frost's sensibility combined, in part, and the restraints of television, in part also network television, making that more homogenized David Lynch, if you would. But I think that many of the very enthusiastic fans of the television series came to the movie thinking they were going to get something like the television series instead of a genuine David Lynch movie, and they felt betrayed.
Listen, I'll listen carefully. I think one of their people.
I was puzzled and dismayed a little bit, but it doesn't bother a person so much if they really like, you know, the work that they've done. It's when you don't like what you've done and other people don't like it, then it's a double whammy. You know, it's very bad. But when you're happy yourself, it's hard to get hurt so much.
It's definitely affects us that it's been 4 years. David is just, you know, happy as can be to be shooting. He just, every day, he loves what he's doing, and he is just really happy to be back at work and glad to see that 4-year period end.
Every day, you know, sometimes I wished on some other films that the driver would take me somewhere else, you know. Things get just too much pressure. But this has been, you know, every day a beautiful experience.